All right, welcome to the EA Sports NCAA14 2021 selection show with our TexAgs group here. We're live on the Ocho. We are brought to you by there's nothing we can do, so let's have some fun. We are also brought to you by TexAgs, not officially, but the greatest online community has given us this group, and so super excited to take part in this and use what they've given us to have this tournament. So thanks a lot to TexAgs. Appreciate that. All right, real quick, the tournament setup. We have a 32 teams single elimination tournament. There are the 2013 base rosters. So you'll have Johnny Manziel, you'll have Jameis Winston. Each round is going to last a week, so you have 1 week to play your game with your partner. We ask you please stream your game on Periscope or Twitch. It's really easy to do. The apps are free to download. Everyone can watch it. Post a link on our Discord, and it'll be a lot of fun for everybody. So what we're going to do is we have one rule in this league or this tournament. You must punt on 4th and 6 or more unless you're losing in the fourth quarter or you're on your opponent's side of the 50. And then you're facing a 4th and 5 or less. You can also go. Looking at that as the only rule. You can use your own playbooks. You can do anything you want. You can change your formations. You can do formation subs. But the only rule here has to do with punting. All right, let's meet the crew. So a couple of us worked on this together. First off, we have the Photoshop wizard. Chris learned Photoshop for this, so super excited for him. Awesome. So you can thank him for all of our great artwork here. Next is the seeding czar, Ryan, put together all of our seeds, and he did all the work behind the scenes to make sure that we had a fair and balanced tournament. Next, we've got the pot stirrer, Cody. Cody's going to jump. The talent, the face of the program, and the person you all came here to see. So that being said, we're going to kick it over to Ryan here in Grapevine, Texas at the Gaylord, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the seeding criteria and what went into putting these seeds together. Ryan?
Yeah, so really quick, we kind of had a three-pronged approach on seeding the teams after they were all selected. Number one, what's the team strength in terms of the video game, not necessarily real life strength of the team. And that's a little bit of judgment, right? But the committee worked hard. We put our heads together and we came up with that. Number two, where applicable, the coach strength or the user strength. We've roughly played about a third of the people in this tournament, so it doesn't apply to everyone. But if we knew that beforehand, we were going to definitely take that into account. And then last but not least, we are not ashamed to say that we absolutely looked for interesting matchups in the first rounds to hopefully have everyone play some fun matchups.
Matchups is what we were going for.
Yeah.
Very good. Awesome. So that being said, let's go to our first bracket. We're going to go to the north. And the 1 versus 8 in the north. So a drum roll, please. The number 1 overall seed in the north bracket is going to be KO 95 and Sparty. So Michigan State, number 1 overall seed in the north, and they're going to face off against the number 8 seed Mizzou Tigers and Jarrett. So Chris, tell me a little bit about this matchup.
Well, this is a really strong matchup to start to kick off the bracket seeding. This MSC team went 13-1 that year in 2013, won the Big Ten and the Rose Bowl over Stanford that year. And Mizzou themselves went 12-2 in the second year in the SEC and lost in that game to the eventual national championship. Team. They have a really good offensive line, and Missouri has a really good defensive line to counteract that. 2 really good defensive ends in Coney Ely and Michael Sand. And I think that's going to be a really important matchup to watch in this game.
Cody, your thoughts?
Yeah, so Chris, I appreciate you trying to hype up this matchup as much as you can. I know you put a lot of research into it, but this is a completely uninteresting matchup to me. Michigan State versus Mizzou does absolutely nothing for me. I think I think KO is probably going to take this one pretty easily. But yeah, this matchup doesn't really do much for me.
All right, let's see what you think about the next matchup. In the 4-5 game in the North, they will face off the eventual winner of the 1-8 seed. 4 spot, we've got Sweet Caroline 16 and the Badgers of Wisconsin versus the number 5 seed, Fighting Irish, my little brother, Aggie 369, Boomer. What do you think about this matchup?
Alabama in the national championship, and there's still a lot of talent on this team. They got a transfer from Florida State and Everett Golson at quarterback, and that's going to be a big difference maker for them. Wisconsin, though, has a couple of really good running backs, and they're really known for their running game. Melvin Gordon and James White are going to lead that offense, I think, in this one. And Notre Dame, to counteract that, has a couple of defensive line standouts in Stephen Truitt and Luis Nix the third. And they're going to have a pretty good game to put pressure on the quarterback and stop that run.
Awesome. Cody.
Yeah, I think this is a better matchup, as it should be, right? It's the 4 and 5 seed in the North. Don't know anything about Sweet Caroline, but Aggie 369, pretty good user. I think, it'll be a okay game. It'll probably be pretty boring knowing these two teams. But, yeah, it's a better attempt at the selection committee to actually give an interesting game.
It's a lot of pasty white people in the stands. We can all agree on that.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's look at our 2-7 matchup here in the North. Chris over there, and he will be facing off against number 7 seed. Oh my God, he's playing Michigan. Same, but different. We've got the game early on in the matchup here. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, this is also a better attempt at a good game. We get the game in the first round of the tournament. I think it ought to be a great game. Buckeyes versus Michigan, old school rivalry. Yeah, I think this one will be a good one. I know that's going to be a high-flying Ohio State offense versus, I don't know anything about this Michigan team or this user, so I'm not going to BS you on that one. But I think this ought to be a good game.
Very fair.
We have Ryan back, so maybe.
Yeah, I'm alive.
You're not a cat.
I'm not a cat. So
cat. Thunderstorm and grapevine.
So yeah, I did a little bit of research on this. The Ohio State's probably the best video game team there is on this game. They got Braxton Miller is a ridiculous quarterback, Carlos Hyde and Ezekiel Elliott at running back. They got talent everywhere, and it's a big rivalry game in the first round, and the teams went in opposite directions during the season. Michigan had a rough season after starting out maybe a little overhyped, and Ohio State was basically a top 5 team all year long. So it'll be fun. Michigan actually came back in their game in real life in 2013 and attempted a 2-point conversion for the win and didn't get it. So they're hoping to get it this time.
All right. Awesome. So the winner of this matchup will face the winner of the 3-6. Your number 3 overall seed in the North is going to be Boomer Sooner, obviously in the North. In Oklahoma, I think North all day long. Aggie 95, not familiar, but I'm sure he's a pretty good player. Facing off against, oh my God, we've got another rivalry. We've got the Cowpokes and Cactus Jack. So the 2-7 and the 3-6 are both Bedlam type rivalries. So what are your thoughts on this one?
So yeah, I got it's a good matchup here. Bedlam in the first rounds, trying to hit some interesting matchups for sure. OU ended the season as strong as anybody in the country. They beat Bama in the Sugar Bowl, and Looking at their coaching staff is kind of ridiculous. They had Bob Stoops at head coach, and they had co-offensive coordinators Josh Heupel and Jay Norville, who are both head coaches now. And their GAs, they had Joe John Finley as a GA and Ryan Walters, who's one of the up-and-coming defensive coordinators now. So great coaching staff there. Oklahoma State started out strong. They blew out Baylor, who was ranked number 3 at the time. And eventually Oklahoma State climbed up to number 6. So they have a couple familiar names in wide receiver Josh Stewart, linebacker Sean Lewis, and cornerback Justin Gilbert. The one thing I think is interesting here is they both have quarterback decisions to make. OU has Blake Bell, the Belldozer, and Trevor Knight, and Oklahoma State has Clint Chelf and J.W. Walsh.
And Mr. Aggie.
Yep.
Aggie. Interesting. All right, so let's take a look at this North bracket. We've got some pretty good matchups on one side and some rivalries on the other. So just real quick, Ryan, just who do you think is going to come out of the North if you had to pick?
So I think Michigan State has a pretty solid team here, but it's going to be hard to pick against Ohio State and the talent they have.
That's fair. Chris, your thoughts, your team. Are you going to come out of this bracket?
I can't disagree with that statement there. I played Kaio. Can't think of the number at the end of his username there, but I played the user playing with Michigan State a few times, and he's had my number. So I think it's going to be a tough matchup if we both get to that point. But I'm not overlooking Devin Gardner in that first game. So that's a tough quarterback to match up versus 91 speed, I think, overall. So he'll be running all over the field. So I got to get that defense together.
Awesome. And Cody, your thoughts? Who's coming out of this one?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think it's a good bracket. I think it's a competitive bracket. I think our selection committee could probably retake a geography course, putting 2 Oklahoma schools in the northern bracket. But I think it's some interesting matchups. My first reaction is to let KO take this one. But I definitely see a championship in the north between Michigan State and Ohio State. Like I said, I think I'd give the edge to KO there. But I think team talent on Ohio State it's definitely going to even the playing field there. So looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm expecting a Michigan State, Ohio State final for sure.
Yeah, it's a very Big Ten heavy bracket, as you would expect the North, but it should be a lot of fun. All right, next, we're going to the West. We're going to the left coast. They match up with the North when we get to the Final Four. So let's look at the number 1 overall seed in the West. This would be your Huskers. This is Ryan. This is Coach RTM. This is the ref on the boards. This is the man who set the brackets up. He's number 1 overall seed. Justified, in my opinion. But he will be facing off against the number 8 seed, Trojan Man, TCU. So what are y'all's thoughts on this?
So in typical Bo Pelini fashion, this Nebraska team got to 9 wins like they always did under his reign. Pretty, average team, I think, overall. They have some pretty good offensive players in Taylor Martinez and Amir Abdullah at quarterback and running back. So I think the offense is going to run through those two. And to be successful, they have to have a really good game. On the TCU side of things, the name of the game there is speed. They got speed all over the field, offense, defense, you name it. Sneaky fast team from the lower ranks. I think they were the lowest rated team selected overall, with an 84 overall rating. So risky pick, but I can see why with that team speed. Really highly rated quarterback, I think 94 overall. Really fast quarterback or running back and wide receivers, I think low to mid 90s in all those. And that defensive secondary and linebackers, all elite speed for those positions. So this game to me screams track meet, and I expect a lot of fireworks and a really high score.
Yeah, I don't expect anything out of this game. I think Nebraska probably should have got the 1 seed in one of the brackets, and then they did. And I think Trojan Man over there. First of all, what kind of username is that? Second of all,
so
I think he just got
Trojan Man. I misspelled it when I made the slide. So
okay. Well, that's fair.
That'll be fixed for the future.
That makes a lot more sense. But yeah, I think they got the shaft by the committee. I think there was some collusion going on there. Actually, I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, this matchup won't be close if past results mean anything. And yeah, Nebraska is going to win this one running away.
All right. My apologies to Trojan Man.
Trojan Man.
So, Trojan Man has now he's got to change his name on TextX.
Forever known as, yep.
Yes.
Torsion Man.
So we stay out west. We are looking at the 4-5 seed here. Ironically, the 4 seed are the Trojans, or the Torjans, as they may be known going forward. JC123, not familiar with him or her, but they're the number 4 seed overall in the West, facing off against Good Nuggets and the Baylor Bears. So let's take a look at this matchup. What do y'all think?
Not to poo-poo on the presentation, but the matchup should be USC and Stanford.
I don't know why that got messed up. Do we?
Yeah, no worries. We'll talk through it. No big deal.
Nope.
So
that should be Stanford. That's my fault again. We've got 2 slides in a row that I've screwed up, so that's my fault.
But to talk about USC and Stanford, that game is going to be all about USC wide receiver Mark Easley. I think he's the best player on the field between both those teams, and it's going to be an interesting matchup on how the Stanford secondary can stop him and his teammates at that position. Stanford's defensive line is going to have to put pressure on the USC quarterback Max Wittick and provide some help to those DBs because they're going to be run all over that field. Stanford has a really good team, though. They won the Pac-12 championship that year and lost in the Rose Bowl to fellow tournament team Michigan State. So they definitely have the horses from their year prior. It's just a matter if they can put it all together on defense.
All right, Cody, your thoughts on my ability to put together a slide?
Oh, well, that's terrible, first of all. That's 2 in a row for our quote-unquote talent. So kudos to Adam over there. But now the matchup, USC is one of the more talented teams in the game. So I think they'll have an advantage there. But, I don't know anything about these users. It's a good rivalry game. But I don't know. Let's go mascot versus mascot. We'll say Trojan's probably going to beat a Christmas tree. Wouldn't you guys agree? So, we'll go with the Trojans here.
That's fair. All right, we'll go to the 2-7 seed. So number 2 overall seed in the West is going to be the Oregon Ducks, the good Aggie boy 19, number 2 overall seed, facing off against the number 7 seeded Washington Huskies, my boy T-Bone, coming out of retirement, literally, for this game. And, so what do you think about this matchup?
All right, so I got this one, and the first thing to mention is that Oregon's probably, if Ohio State doesn't have the best talent in the game, Oregon does. They got Marcus Mariota at quarterback. DeAnthony Thomas is like 99 speed, 99 acceleration. If Johnny Manziel's the best football player in the game, DeAnthony Thomas is probably number 2. They're really good. They were good all year. On the other hand, T-Bone in Washington, he's probably one of the best defensive players pound for pound, and he's going to make it scrappy and ugly, and he embraces it down there in the mud. He does have Austin Seferian-Jenkins at tight end, who was a Mackey winner, and Bishop Sankey, who's just a truck at running back. I expect a sloppy, turnover-filled game that's close for all 4 quarters.
Yeah, the T-Bone can play some defense in the red zone. Cody,
I'm gonna have to jump Chris here if he had any kind of. I cannot believe Washington was put as a 7th seed. That is an absolute disrespectful place for T-Bone to be placed. I think that is an absolute miss by the committee. And the good Aggie boy is looking at a really big upset coming his way because that is going to be some good defense played. And I just think the disrespect displayed to T-Bone here is absolutely unbelievable and completely unwarranted. And
correctly. So we got that going for us.
I predict the next one will be wrong.
Well, let's applaud doing our jobs.
The selection committee froze for a second there, so they're just going to pretend they didn't hear that.
All right, so in the West, we have the 3 versus the 6, and this is going to be another mess-up slide. So we got 1 out of 3 in a row here. The number 3 overall seed is going to be your Texas Longhorns. Coldest 131. Played him a couple times. He's a good player. Against, right here, it's going to show Stanford, but this is supposed to be Baylor. So that's going to be your next matchup. So Texas versus Baylor, obviously big rivalry. Big 12, Baylor's owned Texas recently in the real world. But what's going to go down this game today?
So we got Texas, who is probably overrated. Go figure. The EA researchers spent too much time looking at recruiting rankings as opposed to on-field performance. This was actually Mac Brown's last year as a coach of the Texans. It wasn't a really good one. They went 8-5, but they did beat OU, so they got that going for them. They have good talent on defense with Jackson Jeffcoat, Jordan Hicks, Quandre Diggs. And they have a big decision to make at quarterback. You got David Ash, Case McCoy, Tyrone Swoops. So it just kind of depends on what you want to run. If I know Coldest 131, he's going to keep it in shotgun pretty much all game long, and it's going to be running game, passing game, and he's going to take advantage of what you do on defense. Baylor was coached by Art Briles. They have a really high-powered offense. Lake Seastrunk is their running back, and he's one of the best players in the game too. He's really fast. So they got some talent at receiver. They're going to put up some points. In real life, Baylor put a beat down 30-10 on Texas, but something tells me that there's a talent disadvantage in this game that wasn't there in real life back in 2013.
Cody.
Yeah, so we probably have our first asteroid game here. Yeah, I'm hoping that neither one of these players can get their servers to work, and the game just doesn't get played, and they both get passed up, and the next team that plays them gets a bye. So I refuse to pick this game. A gross matchup. I don't want to provide any analysis.
Very fair. All right, so if we take a look at this, these matchups are correct now on the big board. Somehow this Aggie couldn't do PowerPoint correctly. But coming to look at the West, obviously you've got a powerhouse up there in Nebraska, and then a bunch of other very strong teams. So what are your thoughts, Cody? I'm going to go to you first here. Who's going to come out of the West?
Nebraska. Nebraska's coming out of the West. And then, yeah, I don't necessarily think that any of these games will be really that close. I don't know too much about these guys that haven't played any of us in any of the other leagues. But, yeah, this one, you see that arrow coming down for Nebraska right there pointing to the winner's circle? That's exactly what's going to happen. None of these guys have a chance. It's the West has been won.
Yeah, this is an overwhelming huge favorite. If there's a betting line on Nebraska to take the region, it's got to be minus 3,000. It's a huge line, and yeah, I'm glad I'm not in that region. Let's put it that way.
All right, the gauntlet has been thrown for everyone else. All right, so let's move to the other side of the bracket. We're going to the East. The number one overall seed in the East is going to be C. Bennett 23 and the Louisville Cardinals versus the number 8 seed, Clint J. and the MSU Bulldogs. So had a little experience with C. Bennett 23, kid's a gamer on the stick, and how that played Clint J. But let's see, your thoughts.
Yeah, so this Louisville team was coached by Charlie Strong, our favorite Texas coach. I think second favorite, maybe to Herman, but very successful season for them in his final year at Louisville before getting hired over to TU. Went 12-1, went to a very mediocre bowl, unfortunately, in the Russell Athletic Bowl, but really high-powered offense. Teddy Bridgewater, Michael Dyer, Devontae really round out that offense. It's going to be a very offensive heavy team. Not a lot on the defensive side, so they're going to score a lot of points, and they're going to do it at will because this user scores points like crazy. I wouldn't doubt it if at some point in this tournament he reaches triple digits. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. Any opponent facing off against this team is going to have to keep scoring and score at will in order to have any kind of chance at pulling off a W. On the other side, Mississippi State, they do have a strong quarterback in Tyler Russell and an even better running back in Darius Perkins. Really, really strong running back. Their offense will run through those two. They don't have much else at wide receiver or tight end, so it's going to be run heavy, control the clock. I think that's what's going to have to happen there. And they're going to need their defense to step up in order to have a chance in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the same line as Chris there. This is gonna be if old Clint J over there has any kind of offensive firepower, he's gonna need every bit of it. He's also going to need some goal line defensive plays to combat the constant 2-point conversions he will have to he will have to defend. No, this I think that depending on whoever else is in this region, that's probably a good pick for the first seed in this region. I don't expect this one to be particularly close, and I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a bloodbath. Honestly, I think the score is going to get run up. I think he's going to score in the 80s most likely, and he's probably going to convert about 75 to 80% of his 2-point conversion. So, I hope he has Clint J has any kind of answer because I don't expect this one to be particularly close.
He's saying don't be a cat. All right, let's look at the 4-5 matchup in the East. Number 4 overall seed in the East going up against the winner of that game, winner of this matchup. Going up against the number 5 seed, UNC, Tar Heels, and Consulting Ag. So, what do you feel about this matchup? Probably pretty close, currently ACC matchup.
Yeah, big ACC matchup. Vautech is really one of my favorite teams to use on this game in online matchups. They have a really, really good defense. I think one of the best defenses on the game overall. The defensive line is stacked. They have 3 out of 4 of them are ranked in the mid-90s. And Derek Hopkins, Luther Matty, and James Gale. So they will control the line of scrimmage. UNC is no slouch in the offensive line, though, so they might be able to hold their own, and they're going to have to in order to establish the run and protect the quarterback. UNC has a really strong quarterback in Bryn Renner and has a really strong tight end passing option in Eric Ebron. So there is an intriguing matchup here. I think this will be a close game. I've played Consulting Ag a few times. He's, again, had my number, as it will become a common theme in some of these games. And so I respect his game, and I think.
Yeah, I think Consulting Ag is at his best a pretty good player. I think I'd give him the edge in this one. Good matchup here. We got some goats and turkeys going against each other. That might be the deciding factor here is the mascot. So probably got to go with the goats here.
Or Ram.
Or Ram, whatever you want to call them. It's all the same. But I'll go with UNC here. I think that's probably what's going to end up happening. But who knows? It's a boring matchup. ACC, who cares? But we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, on the other side of the East bracket, number 2 overall seed in the East, we've got Clayton D 1195 and his Clemson Tigers versus the number 7 seed Ag 94 Ag 17 and his Gamecocks. So I think some of us are familiar with Clayton. Tell me what you think about this matchup.
So we got another fun rivalry game, right? Clemson versus South Carolina in the first round. South Carolina actually this year would have been in the SEC championship if they didn't get upset by Tennessee. They had a really good year. Some of you might remember a guy named Jadeveon Clowney, who's the best defensive player in the game and just a freak. Their skill possession talent is there on offense. They got Brandon Wild, Sean Carson, and Bruce Ellington. 2012 actually was Clemson's launch year where they really took the league by storm. 2013 is where they kind of announced they were here to stay. They lost to Florida State, which is excusable in this year. But they also got upset by Clowney in South Carolina during the year. So they're looking for revenge. Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, and the crew will be looking for revenge.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I got to take Clemson here. I think the offensive firepower is too much for this South Carolina team to handle. Although they do have Jadeveon Clowney and a pretty decent defense. But yeah, I think I got to go with Clemson Tigers here. I think Clayton's just gonna overpower him. It's a pretty good offensive player. Played him quite a few times. But I think the committee got it right here. I think it's a good 2 seed. Don't know much about the 7 seed, but I think for one of the first times.
Good job, committee. All right, let's look at their matchup here. The 3-6, the winner of this game obviously takes on the winner of the 2-7. So number 3 overall seed in the East. This has been a very ACC heavy bracket, as you would imagine. So number 3 overall seed is going to be PDWT 12 and the Florida State Seminoles versus number 6. Oh, that's me. That's my Miami Hurricanes. So don't be too honest here, guys, but let's hear about this matchup.
Yeah, you got the national champions of 2013 as a 3 seed. It's really a reflection on where they started the year as opposed to where they ended it. Jameis Winston won the Heisman, but he wasn't rated like that when they made the game. So definitely a sleeper team here. They're good across the board. Miami, Duke Johnson is definitely the headliner here at running back. He's got a lot of speed, a lot of talent. And Philip Dorsett at receiver is scary too. They had a great year up to being ranked number 7, but then when they lost to Florida State, it kind of snowballed into 3 straight losses. They let one loss beat them 3 times. So Miami's never short on talent, and this year's not any different. So if Al Golden, the head coach of the Hurricanes, couldn't get the best of his talent, can you, Adam?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Adam will get the most out of this team. I don't know much about PDWT. Yeah, I mean he might stand a chance, but I really don't think so. I think the Miami team is probably going to take him to the woodshed here. I think there's a lot of offensive firepower on that Miami team, and I don't see this one being particularly close unless old PDWT surprises some people. So predicting an upset here, yeah, I think Miami's going to win this one handedly.
All right, your check is in the mail. So, all right, we're back on the Ocho. Technical difficulties, but we are here to talk about the East bracket. Quick reminder, Louisville the 1, Clemson the 2, and then everyone else kind of falling in line with myself coming in here strong at 6. What are y'all's thoughts on this bracket?
I think C. Bennett at Louisville is a strong favorite to come out of this region as the favorite. But he's got some pretty stiff competition. As long as someone can match him touchdown for touchdown and 2-point conversion for 2-point conversion, I think there could be an opportunity there. But I think he's a clear favorite.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think Louisville is probably going to make it out of this bracket into the final. Canes could take care of them. So we'll see what happens.
It's very fair. Have any of y'all ever lost to me during a game? All right, let's go to the South.
Hey.
Let's look at the South. The number 1 overall seed in the South. Oh my God. We're never going to hear the end of it. It is Cody's Gators. Number 1 overall seed going on against number 8 overall seed, Who Dat Boy 18 and his Ole Miss Rebels. This is an SEC matchup. What are y'all's thoughts on this game?
So I'll talk about Florida first just because we're in company, but I really like the Florida defense. They have some really good speed in key positions, especially in that secondary. They can line up against just about anybody in this game and not worry about getting beat deep. So that's really important from a defensive perspective. On the offense, though, I think the X factor for Florida's team is wide receiver Andre DeBose and his 95 rated speed. Cody likes to throw deep, likes to open up the offense. Ole Miss, though, has an offense that can do some damage with Bo Wallace at quarterback, a speedy running back with Jeff Scott, and some really talented wide receivers in Dante Moncrief and Vince Sanders. I think the matchup, though, for the game is going to be Florida's defensive speed versus Ole Miss's offensive weapons. I think that's going to make a great matchup on paper, keyword on paper. I think, Cody's a clear favorite for the region, and he's going to be a really big team to watch out the entire way through this region.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Chris. I think that's some good analysis. It's a sneaky good Ole Miss team we got there. Who Dat Boy? It's a strong name for for a coach. So we'll see what happens. I'm not too familiar with what Ole Miss has going on as far as offense and defense. Get a good home field advantage, but should
Sounded
be
a lot like Dan Mullen there.
Oh no, I don't. That's ridiculous. But no, I think it might be a good game. We'll see what happens.
You look like Kermit the Frog right now, drinking that.
He's very humble. Let's go and look at the 4-5 seed matchup here.
Nice.
Subtle.
Oh, man.
All right. So the 4-5 matchup in the South. We've got the Wizard of Oz and his Georgia Bulldogs versus the number 5 seed, 86 CWK. So the Wizard of Oz messaged me and said we once met at a bar during Aggie baseball watching in Houston in the late 2009 season. So I'm pro that team right now. But what are y'all's thoughts on this matchup?
This is a classic SEC matchup. Two really powerhouse teams in the Southeast, and I'm really looking forward to it. Aaron Murray at quarterback, Todd Gurley at running back. Those two really steal the show there. But even the backup running back, Keith Marshall, is no slouch himself. And at wide receiver, Malcolm Mitchell and Chris Conley are some great options for Aaron. Some pretty good weapons themselves. Zach Mettenberger was a pretty good college quarterback back then. Jeremy Hill, great running back, and the wide receiver duo of Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. You can't sleep on those two. I know they didn't do a whole lot in college at the time, but they're obviously talents for a reason. So in the NFL, so this game has the makings of a big offensive explosion, and I'm here for it.
All right.
Yeah, it looks like a good game between two of Florida's little brothers, and I think it'll be a good second round matchup for Florida. Getting into the Sweet 16, and it'll be a good matchup. We'll see who comes out of it. Hopefully it's a good, clean game. But I don't have any opinions of it. It's just two mediocre teams. We'll see what happens.
That's a lot of words for no opinions. All right, let's go to the 2-7 matchup here in the South. We got the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech, Captain Morg 70. Sorry, our boy Morg. Big matchup here. And what do y'all think about this game?
So Alabama obviously is one of the best teams in real life. They're a better real life team than they are a video game team. They do have two good running backs in TJ Yeldon and Derrick Henry. So them, along with their stout offensive line, should be able to find some room against a Georgia Tech defense. On the other side of the ball, Georgia Tech has great speed in the backfield, especially at quarterback. They're a better video game team than a real life team. So it could be a good matchup here. But the story of the game is going to be, can Georgia Tech's offensive line block the massive defensive front of Alabama? Or are they going to have to get creative to get around C.J. Mosley, the Buckets Award winner at middle linebacker?
Yeah, so here we got the old Crimson Tide versus the Volunteers. We'll see how it goes.
No.
Volunteers.
Purpose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a whatever. The logo looks like Tennessee. Anyway, I think putting Cap Morg 70 at a 7 seed is another miss by the committee. I think he was deserving of at least a 4 or 5 seed. So I think that was a miss by the committee. But I think this will be a good game. This is another one where I'm expecting an upset. I'm thinking for the first time in 70 years, God, I keep thinking it's Tennessee. Gosh dang it. Well, I'm thinking Georgia Tech's probably going to win this one. I think they're going to ground and pound. They're going they're going to destroy Alabama. Honestly, I think they're going to put up about 400 yards rushing, and I don't think this one will be particularly close.
Well, we're all appreciating the opinion of a guy that can't tell the difference between Georgia Tech and Tennessee.
There's a giant bumblebee.
No, I'm looking at the T. I'm looking at the T.
Usually there's a U associated with UT.
Well, moving on.
And it's orange, not yellow.
So I hate to break this to you, Cody, but there's another T here. It's a Texas. Appropriate person to choose that team in the history of Texags. So looking at this, number 3 overall seed, your Aggies, Johnny Manziel, going against our boy T. Carlo 12 and the Auburn Tigers in the 6th seed. What are y'all feeling about this one?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one, right? You got Johnny Manziel and Mike Evans, Jake Matthews, and the A&M machine on offense. But at the same time, their defense is just as bad, or at least they were in 2013. They're going to need to score a lot of points to win a bunch of games. So it's a great opportunity here to get a revenge game against the horse collar game, right? This is the game where Johnny Manziel got pulled down by the horse collar, and we'll always remember that. And
screw the refs.
And so it's a chance for them to get revenge. Auburn this year was kind of a year of destiny for them. They lost to LSU early, but then they went on a crazy run of beating A&M, Georgia, Bama, which was the kick 6 game, and then Missouri to make it to the national championship before they lost to Florida State. The one thing holding them back at the 6th seed is kind of the quarterback issue that they have. They have some decent options. Nick Marshall was the guy in real life, but in this game, he's a JUCO transfer that's just kind of okay. So they need to figure out what they're doing at quarterback, and if they do, this is going to be a shootout with, the winner is going to be at 50 points.
Yeah, so this one I think is pretty interesting because, this Faux Randolph Duke, not one of the guys that plays in any of the leagues, but I'm sure this is somebody that anybody in this league probably played with consistently, right? They probably played with this A&M team quite a bit, so they probably know the strengths and weaknesses. So I think that gives them an advantage. But I will say this, T. Carlo, great offensive player. Like you said, Nick Marshall probably not as good in the game as he was in real life. So I'm expecting a shootout here. I'm expecting a 50-60 type of game. This is going to be a high-scoring game. It would be a great game to watch. For the sake of our viewership, I'm going to go with the Ags here. But this one has upset written all over it. And like any Kevin Sumlin coach team, that shouldn't come as a shock to anyone.
Well, suffering from low T and then high T, Cody, what are your thoughts on the South bracket as the number 1 overall seed? Do you think you can come out of this, or are one of these 2 T's going to take you down?
Well, I think it's another one the committee got right. For just looking at the rankings here, I do think that 7th seed over there in Georgia Tech is ranked pretty low. That could be due to team skill, but. Yeah, I see Florida making it out of this one, but whoever makes it out of the other side of the bracket it'll be a good matchup, between T. Carlo and I'm expecting T. Carlo and Captain Morg to go at it for that side of the bracket, and kind of the left side of the bracket, probably going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs there, and then. We'll see what happens, but I'm expecting the 1 seed to probably make it through here.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think this is a really strong bracket overall. Probably the strongest of the 4 overall, as far as team talent goes. As far as user goes, I think probably the 2nd, 3rd debatable best user that I'm aware of in this tournament is in this bracket. So. I'll lean Florida's direction pretty heavily as the heavy betting favorite. And, I think Florida wins in a runaway.
Yeah, I think the one interesting thing here is the Ole Miss team that's ranked 8 in the seeding here could probably be a 4 or 5 seed in other regions. So it's really strong top to bottom, and you don't really know who's going to win any given game.
All right. So that ends all 4 brackets. We'll take a real quick thing here. We really appreciate you guys tuning into this. Let's kick it off. So each round is going to last 1 week. Please work with your opponent to schedule the games. Stream them on Twitch and Periscope. We want to watch these games. We don't have football for another 7 months. Whatever we can do to watch football and these games, we're going to enjoy it. So thank you all for tuning in. Please comment on the boards, talk about us a little bit. We want to keep on doing this, and thank you for paying attention. Gig 'em.
Thanks, guys.